In the early 2000s, Kenyan music was searching for a new sound. Radio waves were filled with imported rhythms, while local talents were struggling for space and identity. Then from Nairobi, a group of young men appeared with guitars, harmonies, and stories that felt deeply African, but globally relevant. Their name was Sauti Sol, and their music would go on to redefine not just Kenyan pop music, but African music itself.
Nimekuchagua wewe, nikupende mama, sitaki mwingine, aushi usiniache, usinitende mama, usipende mwingine. I wanna hear you.
Sauti Sol did more than create hits. They created a movement. They made African languages cool again. They fused tradition with modernity. They turned storytelling into sound and brotherhood into brand. This is a story of how four boys from different backgrounds became one of Africa's greatest musical groups, and how their legacy continues to shape generations up till date. Long before they were stars, Sauti Sol were just students chasing sound in a city full of noise, which was Nairobi. Bien Aimé Baraza grew up in Nairobi, surrounded by gospel, soul, and Congolese rumba. Music was not just entertainment in his home, it was language. Savara Mudigi, on the other hand, came from a background rich in rhythm. He was trained as a drummer, influenced by African percussions and modern pop, and would later become the heartbeat of the group. Polycarp Otieno was a guitarist at heart, inspired by rock, folk, and Kenyan benga music, bringing a unique melodic sensibility. When Willis Chimano joined later, his deep soulful voice completed a harmony that felt distinct. They met in high school and university spaces, where music, clubs, and talent shows were the only platforms available at the time. During this time, Kenya's mainstream industry barely supported live bands. Studio-produced pop dominated radio and TVs, and guitar groups were considered outdated. But Sauti Sol believed in something different. Music made by hand, sung from the heart, and rooted in Africa will definitely sell someday. They practiced in cramped rooms, borrowed instruments, and recorded rough demos with minimal equipment. Many nights were spent arguing over harmonies, rearranging lyrics, and learning how to blend their voices into one sound. This process wasn't easy. They disagreed often, but the disagreement always ended in music. That struggle built trust among themselves, and that trust built brotherhood. By 2005, they officially became Sauti Sol, a name that meant voice of the sun, a symbol of light, warmth, and African identity. From that moment, they weren't just friends making music. They were on a mission to change Kenyan music and African sound.
She's a heartbreaker, she bend over backbreaker, steaming hot water vapor, I wanna taste ya. She's a heartbreaker, she bend over backbreaker, steaming hot water vapor, I wanna taste ya. So tell me what you do, Mr.
The road to recognition was long, unforgiving. When Sauti Sol released their first album, titled Mwanzo in 2008, it barely made a ripple in the mainstream market. Radio stations dismissed it as too acoustic Promoters refused to book them because they didn't fit in the popular club sound at the time. But instead of chasing trends, they studied their failures. They learned production, branding, marketing, and audience psychology. They realized that talent alone was not enough. They had to build an industry around themselves. They performed for free. They slept in buses. They shared one meal between 4 grown men. At times, families questioned their choices. Society expected them to find stable jobs, but Sauti Sol chose uncertainty. That decision nearly broke them, but it also shaped them. During this period, they leaned heavily into Swahili, Kenyan culture, and African rhythms. They refined their harmonies until they became unmistakable. Slowly, audiences began to recognize something special. Their live shows became intimate experiences, and word of mouth began to spread. This era taught them their most important lessons. If the industry won't open doors, build your own doors. And so they did. In 2012, Sauti Sol finally broke through with their self-titled album titled Sauti Sol, and everything changed. Songs like Susanna, Soma Kijana, and Lazizi weren't just hits, they were statements. For the first time, Kenyan youth heard music that sounded like them, spoke like them, and represented them without compromise. Their harmonies were polished, their fashion evolved, their music videos told African stories with global quality visuals. Suddenly, they were no longer just a band, they were symbols of a cultural shift. The album went beyond entertainment. Soma Kijana became an anthem for education. Susanna reintroduced African romance in music. Sauti Sol had found a way to be both meaningful and commercial, a balance few artists achieved. Awards will follow, national tours and sold-out shows, media attention exploded, but the most important thing changed was internal. They finally believed they belonged on the global stage. And by the end of 2013, Sauti Sol had redefined what Kenyan music could be. They had created a blueprint for future artists and opened a door that will never close again.
Mpenzi leo naenda safari, safari nami ya mbali. Ukiwaza nimesema da, tabasamu kidogo. And every stage and every song I play, every fan that will scream my name, I will always be with you in my heart. I will miss you forever.
By 2014, Sauti Sol had crossed the invisible line between national stars and continental leaders. Their third album, titled Live and Die in Africa, was not just music, it was a declaration. The title alone carried pride, defiance, and identity. At a time when many African artists were chasing Western validation, Sauti Sol boldly centered Africa as a destination, not as a stepping stone. Songs like Nishike, Surayako, and Kuliko Jana became anthems across East and Central Africa. The harmonies were tighter, the production was richer, the visuals were cinematic, and their performances became emotional journeys rather than simple concerts. They sold out venues in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and South Africa, often performing to crowds that sang every word back to them. International doors finally opened, and they performed at MTV Africa Music Awards Global Citizens and major festivals in Europe and North America. Media began calling them Africa's Coldplay, not because they sounded Western, but because of their unity, stage presence, and storytelling power. This era proved something important. African music could go global without losing its soul, and Sauti Sol were leading that revolution.
We all need love, we all need affection, and the way that you're looking at me, I can feel a connection. Unanibamba baby, kwanza unavyochekesha, kinywaji kwa mkono na kibeti kwa bega. Tusikwizi mademu wanapenda do na machali pia tunazo drama.
With success came confidence, and with confidence came boldness. In 2019, Sauti Sol released African Sauce, an album that broke all their previous rules. It was playful, sensual, political, experimental, and the most important, unapologetically African. Tracks like Melanin, Short and Sweet, Insecure, Tujiangali pushed boundaries, sparking conversations about African identity, body positivity, masculinity, and self-love. For the first time, a Kenyan group was openly challenging social norms while still dominating charts. Not everyone approved it. Some critics accused them of losing their roots. Others said they were becoming too Western. But Sauti Sol stood firm. They believed African artists had the right to evolve, to experiment, and to tell modern stories without apology. During this period, they launched Sauti Sol Generation Records, signing young talents like Niviri, Benso, and later Sauti Sol collaborators, turning their success into opportunity for others. They were no longer just artists, they were architects of a new music industry in Kenya and Africa at large.
Shaking what your doctor gave ya on your worst behavior. Son of a name. Oh, yo, yo. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. If you got to hear this song, somebody loves you. So son of a name. Hello, hello.
In 2023, Sauti Sol released the album Midnight Train, their final album as a group, and it felt like a goodbye letter wrapped in harmony. The album reflected maturity, introspection, and closure. It was about love, exhaustion, growth, and gratitude. Every song felt personal, as if the group was inviting fans into their private conversations. The announcement that the album would be their last shocked the world. Rumors spread of conflict and breakups, but the truth was deeper. After nearly 20 years of being together, the members felt called to grow individually without destroying their brotherhood that they had built. The Midnight Train Tour became a global celebration of unity. Each performance was emotional. Fans cried, the band cried. The music felt heavier, but also freer. It wasn't the end of Sauti Sol, it was the evolution of it. Few African groups have ever exited at their peak. Sauti Sol chose legacy over exhaustion.
Tulipatana bongo liko cheni kozangu bichi nalo pepo wa bahari alinipita kama meli anayumba yumba kidondo za kishenzi Mikocheni nikamfuata utadhani zombi habari gani mbona ukoloni jina ni gani akasema zani.
After their separation, each member stepped into their own light. Bien emerged as a solo powerhouse, delivering deeply personal music that blended Afro pop, R&B, and Kenyan soul. His songwriting became more vulnerable, earning him global collaborations and a new generation of fans. Savara explored experimental sounds, production, and storytelling, proving his genius went far beyond drums. His solo work pushed creative boundaries and challenged industry expectations. Chimano embraced art, fashion, and identity, becoming a voice for authenticity and self-expression. His impact went beyond music, inspiring conversations about freedom and acceptance in Africa. Polycarp expanded his influence behind the scenes, producing, mentoring, and shaping future Kenyan sounds. Individually, they were flourishing. Together, they multiplied their impact.
Wakasunda mizinga hawakujua situko mavela wakaita polisi kumbe polisi pia ni shabiki wakasunda misosi wakatupata na dishi mezani.
To many people, Sauti Sol's true legacy is not measured in awards, streams, or sold-out shows. It's measured in confidence. The confidence they gave African artists to be themselves. They proved you could sing in your language and still go global. They proved bands could survive in an industry built for solo stars. They proved unity could outlast ego. And most importantly, they proved African stories were enough. Today, across Africa, young artists pick up guitars from bands, sing in Swahili, Zulu, Yoruba, Shona, and believe they belong on the world stage because Sauti Sol showed them it was possible. Their music will live at weddings, funerals, road trips, protests, and celebration for generations to come. Sauti Sol didn't just make music, they built a foundation, and Africa is still standing on it. Their legacy transcends generations. They are still writing their legacies as individual and solo artists. When lights dim and the stage grows quiet, some music disappears, but some music becomes memory and then becomes legacy. Sauti Sol belongs to that rare second kind. From small rooms in Nairobi to global stages, from borrowed instruments to sold-out arenas, their journey was never just about fame. It was about identity. It was about belief. It was about reminding Africa and the world that our stories, our languages, and our harmonies are powerful enough to travel anywhere. They sang about love when the world was hard. They sang about pride when doubt was loud. They sang about Africa when Africa needed to hear itself. And even now, as their paths continue separately, the sound they created together still moves through time, playing in homes, in headphones, and in our hearts. Because Sauti Sol was never just a band. They were a brotherhood, a movement, a blueprint, and as long as Africa sings, their voice will never fade. If you like content like this, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below. Let me know which artist you will want me to cover next. Thanks for watching and see you on the next.
Mama, usikose lolote, pete nayo nikuvishe, mama, so